everybody. Welcome back to my movie review series. Today we'll be continuing on with the next installment of The Hunger Games: Catching Fire. Just finished watching it. You can watch it with a regular Hulu subscription. You know how we do it. I'll give you the overview, overall impressions and grade after reading the logistics as provided by Google. Once I give my grade, if you've not seen the movie and would like to, you're going to shut off the video because there will be spoiler alerts. We're discussing the plot synopsis and character development and any similar movies or major themes. So this is the second one of The Hunger Games. We reviewed the first one yesterday. It was released in 2013, rated PG-13. It is an action/science fiction movie with a runtime of 2 hours and 26 minutes. More like 2 hours and 15 minutes. The last 10 minutes are just credits. But it says why to watch on Google. It's intense, unflinching, and gripping. It says, after arriving safely home from their unprecedented victory in the 74th Annual Hunger Games, Katniss Everdeen, played by Jennifer Lawrence, and Peeta Mellark, played by Josh Hutcherson, discover that they must do a quick turnaround and begin a victor's tour. As she and Peeta travel throughout the districts, Katniss senses a rebellion is stirring. However, President Snow, played by Donald Sutherland, proves that he is still very much in control when word comes of a cruel change in the rules for the upcoming 75th Hunger Games. Did $165 million at the box office. Solid. Directed by Francis Lawrence. So overall, it says Google 80% liked it, 4 out of 5 on Common Sense, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb. So again, I like this series. I find it thoroughly entertaining. There was definitely novelty to it certainly when it came out. I like science fiction and I still got that love interest in Jennifer Lawrence. So we're gonna give this one another solid B+. Again, could have been in the A range, but I've already seen them. I don't know if I've seen the next two actually. So this one I thought I'd remember better, and I really didn't remember it that well. Remembered the first one very well, but regardless, overall, I recommend this one. If you've not seen it and would like to, shut off the video. There will be spoilers starting now. So as the description said, they are now back in. They get taken back to District 12. They have this little winner's circle or a little housing. They get prize money, whatever. So Katniss and Peeta again have to continue their kind of faked romance, because that's how they won or convinced them to let them both live in the first one, and now they have to go around to the different districts, and so some more minor scenes with Primrose, her sister, and the mother, but the same sort of characters, and you have Katniss and Peter as the victors, and then. Effie Trinket is still the representative of the district, and they get all set up to go. They're broadcasting, and they fall down on each other and kiss each other. But now they have to get on a train and go to the different districts and give some speeches and talk about the victory. And so the President Snow, the guy who's running it, the Seneca guy, the host of the show last time, the game maker, was told him to kill himself, or he's dead now. So you have a new game maker, but President Snow basically comes to Katniss's house and basically threatens her family if she doesn't sell the "I'm really in love with Peeta" story and shows subservience to the Capitol and their enforcement. And so they start their tour. They go to District 11. Obviously, gotta start yawning when they start talking. They go to District 11, and that's where Rue was, the little black girl from the first one. And so they kind of have the Trinket, Effie Trinket has written some things on these cards for the speeches, and they just kind of go off on freestyle a little bit or improvise, and apologizes. Peeta tries to give some money to the family of the affected ones, and Katniss, remembers Rue, and then an older guy, they do the 3-finger thing to show support or whatever for the rebellion, or just F the system to the Capitol. And so they take Peeta and Katniss away, and they execute the guy that does that, and a bunch of other people start getting arrested and whatnot. And so Katniss is upset that she got another person killed, but the plot development is there is starting to be a rebellion. And so they go to the different districts, they go to the presidential palace, and so Katniss meets Plutarch, who is the new game maker,
He kind of dances with Katniss. He's like, Katniss is like, why did you want the job when the Seneca guy was killed for messing stuff up? And he's like, well, maybe I can affect the games myself. And so you don't really hear much from him till later in terms of what he's doing. But regardless, they have a dance. They have this party. They're kind of, Katniss and Peeta are from a very, very, poor district, so they're just kind of abhorred by the, by just the lavishness and extravagance of the first district. And so, regardless, Plutarch and President Snow, after the tour, they go back to District 12, and Katniss has more kind of a love triangle between Peeta really likes Katniss. Katniss kind of has a thing for her hometown friend Gale Hawthorne, the Liam Hemsworth character. But she's not really like falling for one. It's like a love triangle. Katniss is just kind of like the girl that the two dudes kind of want. And she's just kind of not in the mood for love or something. And so, regardless, they go back and Gale is like, Gale wanted to run away in the first one. Now Katniss wants to run away, and Gale's like, no, I'm going to stay and fight with the rebellion. And we're going to stick it to the people anyway. We're starving. What is there to lose? And so after Katniss still has this influence in kind of stirring up this rebellion, the 75th, they call it the third quarter quell, just the third quarter, 75 out of 100. And so President Snow announces that this year's Hunger Games is going to be the tributes are going to be picked from previous winners. And so they hear that over the news. They're all devastated. Katniss walks out of the house just, absolutely distraught because she's the only winner from District 12. So she knows she's going back, a female, and the only, you have, where's the other guy? Woody Harrelson's character. Peeta and not Hawthorne, I forget what they call him, but the Woody Harrelson character are the only two dudes from District 12 that have won. So the slim pickings on who's going to go back. And so obviously they do the reaping ceremony where they pick them, and Katniss's name is the only one in the box. And so she gets picked, and then both Peeta and Katniss had kind of made like deals with Woody, I'm just going to call him Woody Harrelson, about wanting Katniss to live or wanting Peeta to live or whatever. And so Woody Harrelson gets picked for the tribute, but Peeta volunteers himself. And once you volunteer yourself, the person who got picked can't really do anything about it. And so we are now back into the same kind of plot line where they have to, you have Cinna, who is this, the dressmaker or like the fashion designer for Katniss and Peeta. And they're going back to the Capitol. They have another like entrance parade. Geez, lots of yawns, man. I'm still not tired. But regardless, that's what they're doing. They have a new big training facility. They built up a new living quarters. And so you meet kind of the other people. A lot of them are minor characters. But regardless, they're in a elevator, kind of like just like a levity, like a light scene. And one of the other tributes gets in there, and she's tired of being dressed up in her dress, so she just strips down naked. Again, PG-13, but both Woody and Peeta are like, nice, this is a good elevator ride. But kind of some minor scene, so they do more training stuff. You meet Beetee, who was the head scientist from Source Code, if you remember that movie review. But I recognized him from Source Code in this one. I can't remember which one came out first, probably Source Code. But regardless, so you kind of meet the other characters, and there's another Finnick Odair. You meet him. He's kind of just like not outlandish character, but just kind of like a confident character, I guess. But they do their training, and this year they have like force fields up, so like when Katniss shot the apple out of the pig's mouth, she can't do that again. But they go through a bunch of different training scenarios. Katniss again has this like simulation to shoot her arrows and does really well. So they start forming alliances. It's not set up, it's like rules, you have to form alliances, but they just form alliances. and a lot of them want to be allianced with Peeta and Katniss. And so basically they just choose Finnick Odair, this old woman named Mags, who volunteered herself for another person in the district who was much younger. And so that's kind of their alliance. And so Cinna gets Katniss ready to go one more time. They do like a final interview thing, and then she goes up there and she has this big wedding dress because again they were on their tour to convince them of the love story. Peeta proposes to Katniss and they're going to get married, so she's wearing a wedding dress. And then she twirls around again and does the fire stuff, and then it's like a bird. She's the Mockingjay. And so when they get ready to actually go into the games, they have 10 seconds. They put them in this tubes to rise up. They don't know the environment, and the environment's created for them. And once she goes in there, they beat, assuming beat him to death, but they beat Cinna up really bad right in front of her, presumably for the dress of the Mockingjay and stirring up more of the rebellion. So Cinna gets beat up. I don't know if he's killed or not, but regardless, they now are into the Hunger Games, the actual environment. They rise up, and it's basically like more of like a jungle environment as opposed to the last one was just more of like a casual forest environment, I guess. But they're up there, they're on these platforms. The center thing where all the supplies and goodies are surrounded by water, and it's kind of like a dense jungle around that. And so that's pretty much the environment. Regardless, they then, the horn goes off and they're starting. Katniss swims pretty well. She gets up there, she's able to get at the bow. Finnick gets this big spear thing, and Katniss is about to shoot him, and he's like, nope, we're allianced. And so Peeta had this gold bracelet and a medallion made for him. He had given it to Finnick to show they're allianced or something. But regardless, they're on the same team. And so, 8 or so people die. Again, not super violent scenes or anything. But regardless, they make their way out. They start trekking through they get some supplies and start trekking through the forest. And so Peeta has a machete, and from the BD scene where he's talking about the force field, they're kind of wary of the environment, and Peeta's whacking stuff like machete through the forest, and Katniss is like, no, watch out, and he hits the force field and it electrocutes him. And so Finnick performs CPR and is able to revive Peeta barely, and they know now that they're at the edge of the environment. And so Peeta's lucky to be alive. They start trekking back through the forest, and then they go to sleep, and then they also see a big, they're looking for water, fresh water. Katniss climbs off the tree and sees this like every hour or every 6 hours or whatever. A big lightning strike hits this certain specific tree, and Katniss fires an arrow up at the dome and realizes that it's a dome. So she kind of gets the lay of the land. They feel safe because they're at the edge of the forest where this force field is. And they're going to go take turns sleeping and keeping watch. And so when Katniss is keeping watch, there's this fog that starts going over everything, and she reaches out her hand to touch it, and it's poisonous. So they start screaming frantically, running away from the smoke. Finnick is carrying Mags, and they start running. They all kind of get burned a little bit. Peeta gets burnt helping Katniss. Katniss gets burned a little bit herself. Finnick gets burnt helping Mags. And then they get partly, the fog is still coming. And then Mags basically, she's an old woman, and she basically sacrifices herself. She just runs into the fog, kills herself to give the group a better chance. So she's dead, and the other three are kind of on the same team. And so now they are once again kind of standing in the woods when another hour passes, and then they're surrounded by like gabones, like this like monkey type things. I think they're gabones. I don't know if it's the right type of monkey. But anyway, and so the monkeys start attacking them. They fight them off for as much as they can. They run to the beach. One of the other chicks like seemingly sacrifices herself for Peeta, which wasn't really clear why that happened, but it does. And so they're on the beach. They find Beetee. They find Johanna Mason, the chick that was the one that stripped in the elevator, I believe. And they're all kind of on the beach. And so they realize that the that this big water wheel thing that they all like the platform is a clock, and so every hour there's a new threat or new danger, and so they decide to they get attacked. They get attacked by the other alliance. They kill 2 or 3 of them there, and then they're standing on like the center cornucopia place where all the stuff is at, and President Snow has Plutarch switch things up a bit, and so he just spins it and rotates the thing and makes this big stone thing spin around real fast and then go into the water. And so basically just mixing up their timing so they don't know exactly what time it is and when the next threat's going to come. And so that happens, and then the next kind of the big development is Beatty, who's again the sciencey type dude. He's got this coil wire, and there's another kind of I guess right before they get attacked, there's a chick, before they realize that it's a clock, there's some chick just saying tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, and then they figure out it's the clock, and then she gets stabbed in the back, and then they kill a couple of the other rival dudes. And so there's not too many of them left. They have a clan of about, 5, 6 people, and there's about 2 of the other people still left. And so they decide that Beatty has this plan where he's gonna, wrap this wire coil around the tree that gets hit by the lightning, and if these people, the 2 that are left, they presume they're not on the beach because the clan of 6 is there, and so they think if they go into the woods, the other people will come back to the beach, and when the lightning strikes, it will electrocute them. And so they start doing that, and then Katniss and Peeta, are still kind of developing into a love relationship. Katniss is still not giving her heart to anybody, but they start unwinding the coil and taking it to the beach. And so it snaps or gets cut off or something happens, but the group gets split up, and Peeta and Katniss are not together. And then regardless, she goes to kind of trying to find Peeta and sees Beatty get electrocuted to death. Again, I guess he just messes up his own wiring or something, but he gets electrocuted. And then Katniss decides that she's going to kind of stick it to the person or try to, and so Peeta's get away from she's got a death shot or a kill shot on Finnick and decides not to take it, and so Finnick's remember who the real enemy is, and so when she ties this wire to her arrow, and when the lightning strikes, she shoots it up at the ceiling and hits it, and it disintegrates the environment. The structuring starts to fall down, and so she basically breaks the environment of the Hunger Games. And so she gets knocked out or electrocuted, and then she wakes up in this hospital type environment, and she's not really sure what's going on. And then she walks into this other room, and she sees her hometown friend Gale, Plutarch, as well as the Woody Harrelson character, all kind of talking together. And Katniss is, what are you doing, talking with these people? And then you realize that Plutarch, when they had the dance scene, and he's I hope I influence the games myself. He was in on it to help, now they're full-fledged starting this rebellion. And so Katniss got rescued out of the Hunger Games environment by Plutarch, Gale, and the Woody Harrelson character. And she's furious that Peeta has not been saved. He's still alive, and his tracker shows that he is in the Capitol. So now they're going to District 13, which you didn't know was a thing. I guess in the first movie they say they decimated District 13, so it wasn't even a thing at all. But Katniss learns from Gale that District 12 has been firebombed and everything's gone. And so that is pretty much the resolution to the movie, is saying Katniss Everdeen is the Mockingjay. Obviously the next 2 are Mockingjay Part 1 and 2. And so now they're going to lead a rebellion against the Capitol and against the oppressive system. So overall, I thought it was thoroughly entertaining. I really can't remember if I've seen the next 2, so I'll be watching them in the next 2 days and being the reviews for those days. But overall entertaining, like the science fiction. Again, some screaming, some weakness to some of the characterization, but overall I thought the plot was novel, moved along well, and thoroughly entertaining. So overall, B+. Similar movies. Similar movie series, like the Maze Runner series is kind of similar in terms of I think it's based on books, but kind of younger teenagers trying to like get away from this kind of like, impressive system or whatever, as well as like the Divergent series as well. So there's some similar movie series. If you like these ones, I enjoy these ones. A lot of other people enjoy these ones. So thank you for watching my review of The Hunger Games: Catching Fire, and I will see you on the next one.